There are tales told in the Glen, when the fires are warm and the nights are long, of a time when enchantments were stronger and the winds carried more than the scent of heather. They carried secrets too. And though the stories may shiver down your spine at first, you'll find they end as softly as a wren song at twilight. Once, long ago, before the meadow paths grew mossy and the cottages wore their ivy coats, there came to the isle a woman of such beauty that the earth itself seemed to sigh beneath her steps. Her name was Teyi, though some call her the Witch of the Waters. But no one in the Glen calls her that now, for they've come to understand her story in a kinder light. Teyi was not always as she seemed. She wore her beauty like a cloak, shimmering and bright, and her voice had the lilt of a silver harp played beneath a crescent moon. When she walked through the villages, the men would leave their tools, the women would forget their bread doughs, and even the dogs would stop mid-bark, tilting their heads as if she had called them softly by name. But Teyi was lonely, though none could see it. You see, she was not of the mortal kind, and her beauty, which so enchanted others, was a burden to her. She longed for something true, a love or a kindness uncoloured by her dazzling spell. And so she wove her enchantment tighter, not out of malice, but out of a wish to test the hearts of those who followed her. One day, Teyi saddled her milk-white horse, its mane braided with strands of sunlight, and said to the men of the isle, "Come, walk with me today, and I shall show you a land so fair that even dreams cannot match it." The men, bewitched, followed her as she led them through the hedgerows where blackberries hung heavy, through fields where the clover whispered secrets to the bees, and up the hills where the skylarks sang high and free. They followed her as if the very stars might tumble from the sky, were they to lose sight of her. At last, Teyi led them to a wide, shimmering river. The water sparkled as if it were made of liquid light, and the stones beneath gleamed like polished jewels. "Follow me," she said, stepping lightly into the shallows, her golden hair gleaming like a crown. "The water is gentle, and the crossing easy." But as the men waded in after her, the river began to change. The clear, calm surface grew restless, and the waters rose, swirling and rushing with the strength of the sea. The men, startled, turned back, but not all made it to the shore. Teyi stood on the far bank, her face pale with regret. For she had not meant harm, only to see who might follow her for more than her beauty. But the spell had grown too strong, and the river, sensing her sorrow, carried her tears away in its current. Before the men could call out, she changed herself into a wren, a tiny brown bird with quick darting wings, and flew away, singing a song of apology and longing. But here's where the story softens, as all Glen stories do. The wren, it is said, returned to the Glen many years later. No longer a woman of dazzling beauty, but a small, humble creature, she built her nest in the gorse and heather, watching the world quietly. And the men, wiser now, began to notice the quiet songs of the wrens, the industrious weaving of their nests, and the way they seemed to bring life to the wild places. Every year, on the darkest days of winter, the people of the Glen gather to honour the wren, not to hunt it as some stories say, but to leave crumbs of bread and sprigs of holly by their nests, a token of thanks for the lessons learned. For it is whispered that Teyi herself watches over the wrens, her laughter now as soft as a brook, and her heart light as a feather. And the river, it flows still, but it has gentled, as rivers do over time. It hums its own stories now, telling of kindness found in unexpected places, of beauty hidden in the ordinary, and of how even the loneliest hearts can find their way back home. So if you hear a wren's song on a winter's day, pause and listen. It might just be Teyi singing to remind you that the simplest things, a warm fire, a kind word, a crumb left for a bird, are where the truest enchantments are found. As the story ended, Mouse stood at the door of the cosy hollow, the firelight flickering softly behind him, his lantern in his paw. He gave a little bow, his scarf fluttering with the motion, and his whiskers twitched with warmth. "Well now, what a lovely gathering this has been," he began, his voice brimming with sincerity. "To those of you who've just arrived in the Glen, welcome, welcome. You found your way to a place where stories grow like wildflowers, and there's always a chair by the hearth with your name on it. We're so glad you're here." His bright eyes turned toward the familiar faces in the room, glowing with affection. "And to our dear old friends, you know who you are. Thank you for coming back. You make this little hollow feel more like home every time you visit. It wouldn't be the same without you." Mouse stepped back inside for a moment, returning with a small bundle wrapped in red cloth. "Now, before you go, take this, a little parcel of Glenberry jam and a bit of shortbread for the journey. There's nothing like a taste of the Glen to remind you that you're always welcome here." He paused, looking out into the starry night. "So, wherever your path takes you next, know that the Glen will be waiting when you wish to return. There'll always be a warm fire, a comforting story, and a place for you at the table." Mouse's voice softened as he finished, a twinkle of merriment in his eye. "Merry Christmas, dear friends, new and old. May your days be full of light, your nights full of peace, and your hearts full of cheer. Until we meet again, travel safe, and may the season bring you every kindness." With a little wave of his paw and a final "good night," Mouse closed the door behind him, leaving you with the warm glow of the Glen in your heart and the promise of stories yet to come. Until next time, good night, and God bless.